And of course, that chooses not to work when it was working just a second ago. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Comic Book Chronicles.
Yay!
Oh God, it's a
I'm
wonderful
this
day.
close to lacing everything I do with profanity tonight. So let's rock and roll.
Hey, luckily the stream is 18 over, I believe, that's set up as. Anyway, I am your host, Roddykat. You can find me at Roddykat on Twitter. You can find me at News Notes Need on Twitter. Also, you can also find me at CB Caps on Instagram.
Ka-ching!
You could.
So are we sure it's actually streaming?
Yes, I am seeing it live right now, and I am seeing Agent 70's wonderful perturbed face.
Okay, good.
Yes. With a little bit of latency, which I guess I could have done something about, but whatever. Also with us tonight, _70 on Twitter and Instagram.
Ka-ching!
And also with us tonight is PC and _dirt on Twitter, Pop Culture Net on Twitter, popculturenetwork.com, all of his umbrella sites therein, and also comic reviews, no vowels on Byte.
Yay!
Ka-ching!
Weird enough, can't see myself. Not worried about it. You see these two gentlemen's handsome faces. That's all y'all care about. Not with us tonight is one Tim DOGG98 on Twitter, who would be loving this right about now. You can also find him at CB Chron, which is the Comic Book Chronicles YouTube channel page. I said that all wrong, but you know what I'm talking about. You can also find him on theclicknation.com and theclicknation on Twitter. That's DEKLIQNATION. And also on Comic Book Resources was over there writing his face off.
Ka-ching!
Gentlemen, let us get into some comics. But for the sake of time, I'm going to say let's maybe rapid fire this.
Yep.
Because, folks, if you did not know, Lightstream screwed us, and we have been left to our own devices, and our devices are not kind of working with us tonight. We have a setup. Well, I have a setup, and setup wasn't quite working, but I have another setup for next week that is sure to work because, yeah, I'm going to make that promise right now. Why is it on you and not me? Don't ask. Just keep rolling with it. I don't know. I couldn't tell you. It hadn't been doing it all night. Anyway, so we're gonna do rapid fire comics. We didn't see what we were going to start off with beforehand. So
Who's got something big they desperately want to talk about?
I mean, I could talk about Strange Academy.
Go ahead.
Right, Strange Academy #1. What's that? What'd you say? You said something, Dirk?
No.
Oh.
No, just
you know what? No, I'm looking at the doggone stream, and I forgot it's a couple of seconds behind.
This is a bang up show,
right? This is one for the books. So, Strange Academy, folks. This is the new book from crappins. This is a new Marvel book. First of all, this is basically Marvel's answer to Hogwarts. As the name would imply, it is it's not necessarily Doctor Strange's academy, but apparently it bears his name since he is the Sorcerer Supreme. You got one Zelma Stanton going on a recruiting drive early on in for this new person who uses magic, recruiting them and then bringing them to the school. And the whole setup kind of seems. It's not necessarily Harry Potter-ish, but you can kind of see some similarities there. Obviously, there is a bunch of differences because this new person is not an orphan, not living under the stairs and all that kind of Jimmy Jazz. But like I said, Zelma finds her, brings her to the school. She meets a whole bunch of other students, and it is great. Like Humberto Ramos's art is awesome here, and I'm sitting here trying to remember who the hell wrote the stupid thing.
Scotty Young.
Scotty. Wait, no. Is it?
Yes.
That would make some sense. So yeah, we'll go with that. Scotty Young. But yeah, and it's just I think this book is great. For at least the way it is being set up here. The only thing I'm kind of having an issue with is apparently one of the students has a secret, and hopefully that secret is something that's not going to be predictable. There is, I will go ahead to say right now so we can get that out of the way. In the clickbait section, if you're looking at the show notes, which I forgot to put this on Twitter, but that's fine. There is a article meeting all of the students that you will come across in Strange Academy. And it is a pretty wide range of or assortment of students. So you have like a student you have basically Dormammu's kid is here. Loki brought some frost giant over. There's a couple of kids from Asgard. There's a couple of human kids. There's I think at least one or two kids from Weird World. I think there's one kid from Weird World and another from Otherworld. And that's pretty much the main cast of it all. And like I said, this is basically them introducing all of them and, meeting the staff. And at the end, Doctor Strange comes busting in with a group activity and then a quote unquote inspirational message. And it's the whole thing is delightful. So that is Strange Academy. You should go check it out if you are magically inclined. I know there are some folks on the panel, or at least not here, is not magically inclined, but it's cool. Probably it seems kind of geared for a younger audience, especially given the art and who's writing it and all that kind of jazz. But I think anybody could get into this one. So, and now I totally forgot to write shut that stuff down. So that's another little wrinkle I forgot to do. So while I'm doing that, someone want to pull out another book?
Yeah, I'll talk about Black Cat number 10. I think you and I both read this, Roddykat. This is the second half of a story that guest stars Wolverine in Black Cat's book. This is brought to you by Jed McKay with the script, Chris Anka on art, colors by Brian Reber, and letters by Farron Delgado. This is Felicia and Wolverine in Madripoor. Wolverine in his patch guys. There's a great scene right near the beginning of the book where you don't think something's going to work, and it doesn't, and it goes exactly the way it should, because all you have to do is turn the page and say, "Oh, of course that's how that's supposed to go." But despite all that, we have. I'm sorry,
the rope thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, despite all that, we have hijinks as the Black Cat is looking to retrieve some stuff that had been stolen from Wolverine, and we find out that the stuff turns out to be more of having more of a sentimental value than any sort of monetary value, except for a painting,
Right,
which
is you really want it.
Right, which is the Black Cat's reward for helping obtain Wolverine's stuff. We have a little bit of a flashback with training with, I believe it's
the Black Fox.
Right, Black Fox, and I mean, it's just a really fun story, a little bit of an insight into close-up magic as a metaphor for basically running distraction for.
You've shown in movies before.
Yes, I'm trying to finish a sentence.
Wow.
As they're trying to run the distraction so that their main heist goes undetected.
I've tried that. That didn't work, but okay. Yeah, I don't want to do that because I'll miss and leave it on me, though. Like I said, it's not important that people see me. So yeah,
and then the messages pop up on the screen anyway. So
well, yeah, because the way I'm displaying this. So
yeah, see, it's showing. It popped up on the screen. See, the problem is using Hangouts when we're using Hangouts and it's streaming as the the way it was doing it before. It automatically knew to switch between everybody, but now it thinks we're just having a regular phone call, so it never wants to show your actual video screen because you would never want to see yourself when you're talking.
Right.
So you have to click on your on your thumbnail in order for it to show your video screen, and it just worked a second ago when you did it. So
yeah, but
you're gonna have to do that.
Yeah, but it's not that important. Like I said.
Yeah, but then looking at one of us as we're sitting there going,
that's fine. Hey,
while you're talking.
Trust me, I've seen the numbers. People would rather see y'all than me anyway. So, but yeah, Black Cat number 10 is basically a potential click of the week. And as I was saying earlier, that thing with the whole thing with the close-up magic is kind of something we've seen previously. You know, they like a lot of movies like Catch Me If You Can and all, you know, movies like that pretty much have that, hey, watch the other hand, watch this one hand because the other hand is what you're looking at kind of situation. And this is kind of no different from that, but it's in this case it's just about thievery. So, but yeah, Black Cat number 10 was great. It was a great issue. So, will it make click of the week? We will see. And somebody else got something? Dirt?
Well, Flash 750 came out this week. That was a pretty good one.
Hit it.
For an $8 book, you'd hope there'd be some good stuff in there. And actually there was. So that's cool. You have the main story, which has been, kind of following up on all of the stuff that's been happening in the regular Flash books. And basically what it comes down to is Flash, for as long as Barry Allen has been created, really, as a reboot of the character from the 40s when he was rebooted in the 60s. He's been a time-traveling, dimensional-hopping, time paradox-creating character, and it's coming to a head. He's been involved in every crisis, in every flashpoint, in every single one of these things. And so now he is actually responsible for the creation of a being called Paradox. And Paradox is here to destroy Barry Allen because Barry Allen is destroying the universe. And he keeps destroying the universe over and over, basically. And so you've got that storyline, that's kind of your main part of his book. Paradox has been this name you've heard spoken about in the book here and there in the background for a while. Well, now we finally get character reveal. He's a big, tough, mean-looking guy. He's come to destroy Barry Allen. And he returns with a villain, former friend of Barry Allen from the past, who reappears in this book. So that was kind of a cool thing. Then we get follow-up stuff. We get a classic Captain Cold's story in the old continuity. We get Jay Garrick's story set in the 40s. We get a bunch of other short things here and there dealing with different times in the history of the Flash, different continuities, whatever. But then the final one is actually an epilogue for Flash Forward, which just ended. And it is actually setting up as a zero chapter for the upcoming Generation Zero, which will go into the whole Generation 5 endeavor that DC is going to be doing with redoing the timelines and the whole thing going on again. And basically, if you have not read Flash Forward, Wally West found himself drifting throughout the universe. So he didn't have a spot anymore in the recreated timeline. And so now he finds himself sitting in the Mobius chair where Metron used to be. He's plugged into the entire timeline, history, every reality. He knows the answer to everything. He can see everything that's going on at every time, at every point. He now has the Dr. Manhattan symbol on his forehead. He's one of the most powerful beings now in the universe, and he has seen that the universe is being pulled apart and being destroyed. And so he's seen the stuff happening in Flashpoint at the same time it's happening in the regular continuity. At the same time, Crisis is happening. At the same time, the stuff from the 90s with Azrael being Batman and Superman being dead and the other Supermen running around, like all these different publishing initiatives and all these different things that happen, messing with the DC time stream. All of that stuff is basically, DC does this thing where they continue to acknowledge all of this stuff. It's, even though it gets rewritten, it's still part of the history, meta or otherwise. And so they're pulling all of that stuff back together in order to form this new. They're going to do something with the timeline and put it together. So Flash, on the one hand, Barry Allen created all these paradoxes and all these problems, and he's going to have to deal with it in one idea of the story, and then Kid Flash, Wally West, as this new powerful being dealing with the metaverse problems of it, is going to deal with all this stuff at the other end of the timeline. So it's kind of a neat way that they're balancing the whole thing together. Is it worth $7.99 if you're paying full cover price for your comics? That's the question you got to ask yourself if you're a huge Flash fan or not. But I do think there was a lot of really cool stuff on here if you are a big Flash fan. And it's definitely some neat stuff to see what DC's doing going forward, playing with all that stuff.
Cool. Solid. Anybody else want to pluck out something? Okay. So let's see. I will bring up, since we talked about Strange Academy, Doctor Strange, Surgeon Supreme #1, and I know Agent 70 didn't get a chance to check this out yet, so I won't spoil it for him. But basically, in a nutshell, what the hell happened there? The lines between his two jobs are starting to blur. Let's put it that way. And something ends up happening that brings that to bear. And also, at the same time, he's still trying to figure out what is going on with all the magical items that is being taken from his shop. In fact, that is the reason why the two lines apparently are starting to be blurred. So, which kind of slightly gets him into trouble, but then it kind of shifts to, it starts to shift to talking about another one of the characters in the book, but then all of these things are starting to come together, which it does at the end of the book. Or let me rephrase that, which it starts to do at the end of the book, but we still don't know about a couple of things that's going on. So, but it was a pretty good issue. Definitely action packed, and it is still a decent book to kind of check out. So, that is that. Let me see. So you want to?
We got the next issue of Batman. We got Batman 90 came out this week.
Okay, go for it.
We learn more about the designer of this mysterious villain, who's been apparently in the history of the big villains of Gotham City. He somehow came to them years ago some idea about how he was going to destroy Gotham City, help them become better criminals, something, whatever, and it all fell apart. And they figured that was the end of it. Well, we find out from Catwoman, now that she's in a relationship with Batman, she spills the beans that it all came down to the Joker. That Two-Face, Riddler, her, Penguin, they all talked to the designer. They would basically say whatever heist they were thinking of, and he would tell them to think bigger and plan better, and how to make it a bigger, heist and whatever, and just think bigger and bigger and bigger. Well, Joker goes in the room to say whatever he's thinking of, and Joker's in with the designer for like hours and hours and hours, and when the designer finally comes out, the designer's like, nope, he tells all his minions, kill everybody, burn this place to the ground, we're not getting involved. So whatever Joker had planned was so horrible, so terrible, so over the top, that it made the designer turn his back on the villains of Gotham. They figured that would be the end of it, but apparently he has come back, and he is going to go forward with all the plans that these villains had put together. So the villains know what their particular plans were, but none of them really knew what the other one was working on. And people like Penguin and Catwoman, Harvey Dent, they can kind of, Riddler, they can kind of be reasoned with. They may not be like the best people to work with, but you can kind of talk to him. Joker, though, you don't know what he's doing. And the fact that his plan was so crazy and so out there, it's got them worried. The real problem I had with the designer as a villain, though, is that his motivation was just that he tried to beat somebody and he wasn't good enough, so he came up with a bigger, better plan. And apparently that's like that's his whole thing, is that he thinks bigger, and so he does better, and that's it. Like, okay, that's all right, I guess, but isn't that what everybody's supposed to be doing anyway? So it's just kind of a lame idea for this villain, is that he just designs bigger and better, because that's what you should be doing. But otherwise, it turns out Catwoman's plan, because she wasn't, she didn't know Bruce at the time or anything like that. Her plan was to basically destroy the Wayne family and steal everything they had, because they were the richest people in Gotham. So that's apparently the plan that he's going to be setting forward, which dun, 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 now that's going to create a problem. So that's what we're looking forward to heading into the next issues.
Gotcha. Yeah, and there's an article that we have in the news about, I guess, coming from '89, which I guess was his origin, and I think we might have talked about it the last issue, and about who he might be or whatever the case may be. I was gonna ask, doesn't that seem like that whole, hey, we need to do this thing bigger? Doesn't that kind of seem like what they were trying to do with the Year of the Villain stuff? Like, was it Luthor was kind of going around to people, just like, hey, you don't think.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, he was basically either supercharging their powers or giving powers to people who didn't have powers. So it was the idea that you could only go so far. So now he was going to, level you up so that you could go farther. And the idea with the designer is, I guess he's kind of like Jigsaw from the Saw movies. So he's can build more elaborately, and I guess that's something. But that just seems kind of, like, okay, well, I guess, but is that a superpower? Like, is that a meta? Is he like a meta gene Rubik's Cube maker? Like, how does that work? I don't know, but and it's weird because he's also dressed as like some weird 90s pimp villain. I don't know. He's got like a feather choker around his neck and a skin tight mask with a big D on it, and he wears like a fur lined coat, and it's just like a goofy, it's like Destro from a parallel universe. And I don't know, just comes off looking weird.
Maybe he is the rapper then. All right, so next up, who knows? 870.
Thought we were going to do rapid fire, but I'll throw out one last book.
We tried, but then we get into it.
Right. So the one book I'll talk about is Daredevil number 19. It's the first part of a two-part story called Inferno. Marco Cicchetto is back on art. Essentially, the crime family that's been introduced in this story has basically declared war on Hell's Kitchen. They're called the Stromwinds. They're basically taking apart Hell's Kitchen because they just feel like it. It's pretty. There's pretty much a lack of reason behind it. It's not personal. It's not much of anything. So they've engaged the assistance of several B plus and B list villains like Crossbones and Rhino. And some A minus villains like Bullseye to take apart Hell's Kitchen, and they have paid off the police who are on their payroll to stay out of Hell's Kitchen. So basically, Hell's Kitchen in the neighborhood in Manhattan is being destroyed, and the populace, the neighborhood residents are stepping up to try to defend their homes and defend their neighborhood. And part of a long-running storyline in Zdarsky's run are these neighborhood residents who are taking on the mask of Daredevil as a way to help defend their neighborhood while Matt Murdock is on the mend and kind of finding himself. And that's essentially what happens in this issue when in the midst of all these residents who are taking on the mantle or the guise of Daredevil to at least play the part. They're basically taken apart by this group of supervillains, and Matt Murdock finally steps up and while not in full costume, is definitely retaking the role of Daredevil at the end of this issue. Spoiler alert. Oh, and we also get the reappearance of a longtime Daredevil character who has been hiding out, as characters are wont to do in the world of Daredevil, within the church, within the Catholic Church, in the role of a nun, and that is a hint, at least, to the gender of this particular character. So leave it to our listeners and viewers to figure out, to read this book and find out who I'm referring to. But it looks like Matt Murdock is finally back in the saddle as of this issue. So if that's what you've been waiting for, here it is. And that's that.
Cool. Oh, Derek, didn't you read Strange Adventures?
Yes, I did.
You want to talk about that real quick?
Sure. This one I can probably do pretty quick because there's actually not a lot to it as far as plot goes. Basically, you have the same team that did stuff like Sheriff of Babylon and that was it Mr. Miracle? Is that what they called it? Yeah. They're joined now by Doc Shaner, Evan Shaner, who's kind of a classic comic book, modern comic book artist that kind of has a clean classic style. And it's jumping between these two time periods where Adam Strange is, in the past he's fighting for Ran, the alien planet that he gets zapped to and from time to time. Love of his life lives there, and every so often the Zeta beam zaps him back to Earth, and then sometimes zaps him back there. So he kind of lives between the two worlds. But then also he's in a modern time where he's written a book about his life there and things that have happened. And at some point along the way of his book tour, some crazy guy comes on his book tour and just starts berating him and starts going off about how you attacked these poor people and you put them in cages and whatever. And he's like, what? And you see the story happening in the past, and these things were trying to kill everybody and take over the planet, and they were kind of like the bugs in Starship Troopers. Just kind of going from planet to planet and chewing everything up and whatever. And so he's just like, you're crazy, whatever, get away. Well, that guy ends up murdered. So Adam Strange wants to prove his innocence. He tries to get Batman to help him, and Batman's like, he won't do it. They've been friends too long. Batman's like, it doesn't matter. Whatever I find, people won't believe it because we're too close connected. So he's got to find somebody else to try to prove his innocence. So what it comes down to basically is it's going to be a murder mystery, and it's did he really do it, or is he being framed, and if he is being framed by who, and for what reason, et cetera, et cetera. So it's an interesting story. It's not from what they set it up as, what you saw in the previews and stuff. It wasn't exactly what I thought it was going to be. It was a lot less. I guess I expected more of a commentary from it, and it's really not. It really is more of a murder mystery, and I appreciated that more. It's more of a just a structured narrative murder mystery, and it's a lot more. I don't want to say fun. Fun's the wrong term when you're talking about murder and war and whatever, but it's a much more enjoyable story than I expected to be. Really, just kind of feeling bad about yourself when you're done with the story the way they had kind of talked about it in advance. But it's actually a much better story than that. So I'm looking a lot more forward to seeing how this story plays out.
Yeah, it seems like it's kind of one of those things. Like if you're looking for more Mr. Miracle in it, it's got shades of it, but not a whole lot of it. Like you said, it's a lot more straightforward than a lot of the Mr. Miracle stuff ended up doing. But and also, I mean, it's just the first issue, so who knows what's coming. And yeah, I love the way having an art for the different times periods good. Like Doc Shaner did the Rand stuff, and Gerard's did the humans, the Earth stuff. Yeah. So, and I love Doc Shaner's art, so it was cool to see him on this because he was the one who did like that Hanna-Barbera the whole crossover thing. It was just cool.
Well, he's just a really good, like clean, classic type comic book artist, and it's just really fun to see, especially the difference between the two, as they contrast between the two, because Draws is really gritty and textural, and Doc Shaner is somebody you could almost see him going back 20 years, 30 years, 40. Man, how old am I? You could see him going back to the time of George Perez and John Byrne and a lot of those guys, and he could be on the stands in that time period alongside all those guys, and you wouldn't even think twice about seeing his art next to those guys.
Yep, indeed. Cool. Because you made a point about the past. I was like, that seemed like that whole past thing was like a movie, because it felt like they were doing a movie on him, and it was like him playing the movie part of him, the way the dialogue and stuff was going on. But apparently that makes sense that it was in the past and not what I was thinking of. But
well, and it could also end up being like that's his memory of it,
right.
Because your memory of something is going to be a little bit different than the way things actually played out. So, right. But you never know. Or it could be the way he wrote about it in the book, or we're still not sure exactly what that is we're watching, but it could be the unreliable narrator coming into play with some of that stuff.
Right, which I'm sure that it'll present itself later. Cool. So that being the case, if anybody else has got anything else, I'm sorry.
Justice League 42. We got the Eradicator and the Daxamites continuing to attack Earth. This is okay. So getting magic mixed in with the superhero stuff, I'm kind of I'm in that camp where it kind of messes things up sometimes, because you do have one of these situations where you have this army of Supermans, basically, that are attacking Earth, and the Justice League, it's too much for the Justice League to be able to handle. So they're trying to escape, and so I think Zatanna is not Zatanna, Madame Xanadu, yeah. And she says whatever magic to make them escape, and then she says this magic so that they can teleport somewhere else, and then she says this magic so they can do something else, and because she can do the magic, they can just kind of bounce all over the place, and then they're able to make everything work to move everybody, because it's magic, and it's just kind of like I guess, but it's like too easy of an out with some of the stuff. I don't know. It's one of those where you expect it to be a little more difficult than it really comes down to, and instead it's kind of easy because magic, they can just kind of like ding, bang, boom, and you're across the universe. So that was kind of a problem. Although the weird thing is they had this whole thing going on with Flash in the last two issues, where Flash was kind of losing his speed and having problems. And then in this one, they were like, we really need you to be fast. And he was like, well, I'll make it happen. And then he makes it happen, and he doesn't stumble at all, and there's no problem. So I don't, like, is it over? Was that supposed to be tying into stuff happening in his book? I don't understand. Okay, I guess that's over now. We don't have to worry about Flash. So.
Right, because they made it like it was going to be something, but if they didn't address it here,
right? Like I was waiting for, because they're like, we really need you to do this, Flash, and I was waiting for Flash to be like halfway through this run and then stumble and fall, and then there's something else they got to clean up. But nope, didn't happen. So that's that. And then the final book was Butcher of Paris #4. There's only 5 issues in this book, so this is number 4, so we're almost at the end here. But now Paris is being liberated finally from Nazi control. Everybody is kind of happy now. They're starting to, they're free. They're coming back out into the streets. They're coming back into their freedom. But there was still the serial killer and all of these murders that were going on, and the detectives that were trying to figure out what was going on. They don't know, did this guy escape with the Nazis? Is he dead? What happened with all of the stuff going on with the war in the background and everything? And right in the middle of trying to figure out all of this, the detective gets accused of being an SS conspirator, and you think, well, this doesn't make any sense, but now we figure, it must be the serial killer playing games, and now he's set the detective up to take a fall, and now he will go to jail, and it looks like the serial killer may walk free. Now, the thing is, I really like this story, and this is based on a true story of what really happened during World War II in France, and it has taken so much strength and willpower on my part not to Google this, because I so desperately wanted to Google this, and this is a cliffhanger that this issue stops on, and so it would be so easy to just, and I could know what happened with this guy and everything, but I'm gonna let it play. I'm just gonna wait. I'm gonna wait for this issue to come out. I'm not gonna spoil it, but I really, really want to. So it's a good series, and I really like it.
Sounds solid. Cool. Well, I'll go ahead and say my last one then, because I only had one more. Excalibur number 8, real quick. So they're still dealing with Cullen Bloodstone in their hunt, because they're trying to get Warwolf heads that he seems to have on his estate. They get into a little bit of a fight, and then Cullen's like, hey, let's all be civil here. Let's talk this out like civilized folks. Then they talk it out, and well, all right, fine, we'll start over again. We'll hunt this without powers and get into that whole thing. But during the course of the night, Richter kind of overhears Cullen talking to some folks about giving them some protection, and then he goes to Betsy and is like, "Hey, we might need to get out of here because this guy is kind of sketchy." So they decide to just go ahead and get what they need, despite Cullen and bounce, which they kind of do. And in the midst of that, they come across another Warwolf, and without me singing the song that is very popular right now that you could possibly sing at this point, I'll just say that there is a new addition that, weirdly enough, a person you would think would not want a possession of a Warwolf ends up in the possession with. If you think about the mutants and who's had to deal with them, especially when in a book called Excalibur. So that's kind of thing, and that's kind of where that was left off, and they're gonna go from there. Now then, clicks of the week.
All right, clicks of the week. So,
go ahead.
Do we have anything from Tim?
No.
All right, my click of the week is Daredevil number 19.
All right, sweet.
And I will go with Butcher of Paris number 4.
All righty, cool.
From Dark Horse Comics.
Okay. Oh, good. I'm glad you said that, because that'll help me out later.
That's why I said it.
Yeah. Well, I probably would have looked it up anyway. But and for myself, Strange Academy number 1. That's probably not a surprise the way I was going on about it. But yeah, I enjoyed the book, so it was great. And with that, we can get to the first ad read of the night.
Yeah, I'm probably going to drop out of the show tonight after the ad read. I'm exhausted. So our first ad read of the night is the one I do when I want to get the hell out of here. It's Keep Our Podcast Free by shopping at Amazon. Visit CSPN.us and click the Keep Our Podcast Free link at the top of the page. From there, scroll down and click on the Amazon link to shop. Purchase items from Amazon as you normally would, whether it's books, music, electronics, jewelry, apparel. I don't know if you can get hand sanitizer anymore. Might be sold out. For every purchase made on Amazon through our link, Amazon sends the CSPN a payment, ka-ching, that helps us keep the Comic Book Chronicles podcast free for our listeners at no extra cost to you. Amazon.com through CSPN.us. Do it today. Ka-ching. All right, folks. Peace.
Okay. Well, I guess you're going to Dirk.
Well, I didn't know he was leaving. How much news is there?
It's a decent amount. I can handle it. No, I wouldn't worry about it. I'm a professional.
I was gonna put show notes in the YouTube chat, but if the link I have is the edit link, and I don't want to share that link, so I'm not gonna do that.
Yeah, like I said, I'll put it out when I usually put it underneath the video anyway, so it'll be there after I put it there.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I'm gonna sign off then. I will sign off as well. And next week, hopefully, we will try to practice a show before we go live. like maybe some other night of the week before the night that we do the show, so that maybe we could try to see if we can do some of this stuff before people are waiting for the show.
And we'll probably have there'll probably be a slightly different. I mean, we'll be broadcasting the same thing, but I think there'll be some setup differences that'll be a little bit easier, as opposed to how we had to kind of patchwork this. So it'll be fine.
I'll talk to the guys who do Fans of Power. I'll see how they're doing it, because they had to switch also when Hangouts shut down, and I'll see what they're doing. They might be doing it all through OBS also, I'm not sure. So I'll talk to them. I'll find out.
Yeah, because that was the other thing we talked about Zoom, but that was like, that's not that's probably about as just as valuable as we're doing it right now. But like I said, going through OBS is like we talked about before, is pretty much how people seem to be doing stuff. So yeah, you find out what they're doing, and we'll run it. We'll see what's up.
All right, I'll talk to you later. See you next week.
All right, take it easy.
Bye.
And with that, we go into the news. Hopefully you can still hear me, which yes, you can. Cool. With that, we go into the cinematic news of the night. Starting off with Superman, Red Son establishes a major DC hero as LGBT. This is a spoiler for Superman Red Son, which is out on digital HD right now. I haven't had a chance to watch it, but spoiler alerts, it's pretty much Red Son Superman. If you've read that that book back in the day, I think it's basically just that. So, which I don't think about. I don't remember if I did or not, but it's out there if you want to watch it and read it, if you so choose. Poop. Oh crap! And of course that does happen. Yes, there we go. Black Lightning says gay rights. So apparently on Black Lightning there was. Let's see. It says Black Lightning isn't the first Arrowverse show to put a queer superhero right in the middle of all the action and drama. In fact, I would say it probably was the first of the Arrowverse shows. I mean, given some stuff aside, but whatever. But in this week's episode, the series took a brief pause from the ongoing war playing Freeland in order to focus on love. Because the Book of War Chapter 2, Freedom and Free, is the penultimate issue of Black Lightning's third season, it's both dense with plot and predominantly focused on establishing just how dangerous a threat the villain Gravedigger, Wayne Brady, is. And says here, in a twist that strongly echoes Christopher Priest's The Crew, Gravedigger reveals he developed his abilities as a result of an unwanted experimentation conducted by the U.S. government that left him empowered, but unique among other metahumans and baseline humans in one important way. While the results of Lynn Stewart's meta syrup, which imbues the user with powers, are temporary on most periods, they are quite permanent on Gravedigger, giving him the potential to be one of the most powerful metahumans on the planet. And I believe, I want to say a couple of, the couple of Anissa and her friend who escapes me, they basically got married, if I'm not mistaken, or Grace, there we go. They want to get married, so that's basically where the crux of this whole article is coming, and it sounds like there are things around that are happening. I am not up on Black Lightning, so some of this was a slight bit of a spoiler, but also cool to see. So DC Stargirl show sets DC Universe and the CW debut date, and I believe that is, according to this, Monday, May 11th, on DC Universe streaming service, and then on the CW the following day, which we had talked about this in the past, that they were going to do that. It was going to go to DC first, which is unusual because, usually it would be on TV first and then go to the streaming service. But in this case, it's going to streaming service first, and then it's going on TV on the CW the next day, which I suppose probably the day after that it's going to go on CWC, the other streaming app. But it doesn't say that here, so regardless. So, hey, if you don't have DC Universe, you can always catch it on CW TV show, the TV channel, and probably, like I said, CWC, if I'm not mistaken. when that comes out. And like I said, Monday, May 11th is when that's going to happen for the DC Universe. DC Universe at C2E2, DC Universe Paddle unveils events and programming. So this was apparently a members-only event that took place at C2E2, and fans were privy to such things as the season 2 premiere date for Harley Quinn. It looks like, so let's see. Oh, and apparently they had, they have like panels called Meta Madness, and which is a competition that lets readers predict which characters will prevail. So it breaks basically brackets, which is kind of funny because we talked about something that we did back in the day called the Cold Slither Podcast Draft, and that never got resolved. So, yeah. But anyway, a bunch of stuff that they had going on there, and like I said, if you check out the show notes, you will be able to read this article and others such there. Kevin Feige's Simpsons villain Chino's revealed. So as you can see here, apparently, the Simpsons, in their heretical wit, made Kevin Feige a villain. So, yeah, there you go. Let's see. Feige's upcoming appearance on The Simpsons was reported back in October, following Disney's purchase of 20th Century Fox. So, and now you can see if you're watching the video version, you can see what the character looks like, and I guess there's even a clip of their Avengers style parody that's coming up on, let's see, March 1st is when it's coming up. So actually, it's already out there. So if you've probably seen it by now, cool. Let's see. New set photos from Marvel's Loki series features Tom Hiddleston and the first look at Lady Loki. So apparently, the rumors that Lady Loki was going to potentially play a part in the series seems to be true, and or at least speculated from shots taken from the set. If you can see on the video, if you're watching, there's some young lady that looks like she's dressed up in Loki like gear, just kind of standing there. So we'll see when that happens. Let's see. Star Wars Clone Wars hits. Someone else knows about Anakin and Padme, which, if I may go on a quick aside, should have been the case anyway, because, look, I've been doing a rewatch of Clone Wars, and there are way too many times that it's like, if someone did not notice, their interactions with each other, or at the very least, reactions to things surrounding each other, like, that has got to be the dumbest universe ever. But apparently in the second episode of the Clone Wars, it's quite possible that someone else knows, which I want to say, well, I don't know what this brings the total number of people up with. And there's still that speculation that, and I think I have the clip, but I don't think it'll play, that Obi-Wan seems to know, which, again, if anybody should know, it would be him. Or it should be him, as much interaction with them that they've had. So there was a pretty good clip that's going around about Obi-Wan kind of doing a nice sick burn on Anakin, mentioning Padme, and that was a good thing. That was fun. But yeah, so it sounds like someone probably being Captain Rex, according to this article, may also know something about what's going on, because it makes sense, Like, it would surprise me more if, like, Ahsoka, or, well, maybe not Ahsoka, but I think at this point she might not be closely, well, she's definitely not close to affiliated the way things was left, but nevertheless, there definitely should be more people that knows about this than not. Anyway, so the good folks at CBR brought out an article listing every Jedi that survived Order 66 in canon. I won't go through with it, but I mean, you already know Obi-Wan did, and we know that Kanan did to a point. And and Yoda obviously, and Ahsoka. So those folk. Oh yeah, and of course, there are the people that showed up in the comic books are also the case. So, but yeah, you can go check that out for thyself. Disney removes 2021 release date, competing with Sony's Untitled Marvel movie film. So, so there was that whole rumor I think we talked about last week. It's not even a rumor, but basically Sony has a Untitled Marvel film that's slated for sometime next year that we still don't know that much about. And it sounds like Disney had a film that was going around the same time, and now they have since removed it for some odd reason. And it says here that, let's see, Untitled live action film was set to be released by Disney under on its main banner on October 8th, which means it was a Disney movie and not a Marvel movie, sounds like. Whatever that film is, it has now been dropped from the House of Mouse scheduling for the time being. The only other film Disney has scheduled for October 2021 is set for the 13th, and it will be released under 20th Century Fox banner. So whatever that Disney movie was, Disney proper movie was, just got moved out of the way for the whatever Sony's cooking up. Captain Marvel's Larson and Wonder Woman 84 Gadot share a fun selfie. So Brie Larson and Gal Gadot were at the 2020 Academy Awards, and I guess they were backstage because they were presenting an award, and they took the selfie. If you are watching the video of them kind of having a go at each other, Brie Larson looks to be choking out Gal Gadot, who is putting on her earring, Larson's earring, and then there's another selfie of them making kissy face. It's cute. That's fun. So, Pop Store announces the next Marvel television live action featuring props from the Marvel's Punisher and more. This June, bid on authentic props and costumes from several of Marvel's Netflix shows, including Daredevil, Defenders, and Punisher. I feel like something like this happened last year, and I think it did. So this may be another one, I guess. So it says Prop Store in association with Marvel Entertainment is announcing another outstanding opportunity to own a piece of Marvel history. This June, bid in the Marvel Television live action on items from several of Marvel's shows, Netflix shows, basically. This time marks the first time you'll be able to bid for items from the Punisher and the Defenders. So basically, so I remember correctly, the first off was mainly like Daredevil and Luke Cage stuff. So now they're adding Punisher and Defenders stuff. So cool. It says registration is now open. If you missed out on the last couple of auctions, there's still a chance to participate. In addition to over 500 lots to bid on, registrant can enter a giveaway for a chance to win a New York Bulletin newspaper featuring Daredevil in his black costume or an original Frank Castle full costume. There would be some stuff I would probably want and that I cannot afford. So, oh well. Marvel DC concept artist shares Wolverine designs from an abandoned project. Jared S. Morantz shared unused Wolverine designs from a canceled project on Instagram. Morantz, who has done concept art for both Marvel and DC movies, says that designs for Wolverine's costume were for a project that never materialized. It's unknown whether the project was, but Morantz hints that it could have been paid homage to Wolverine's comic book outfit. We will never know what that will be, but if you can check out that stuff. Al Pacino says he was an Archie comics fanatic. I mean, weren't we all really? Let's face it. I mean, Archie books were pretty formative in a lot of folks' lives, including myself. So apparently, Pacino, who was just doing a junket for the Hunter show on Amazon, which I haven't yet to see yet. Uh, but yeah, he was doing it in an interview with USA Today, and he said that he was asked which comic book or superhero was his favorite. And he said, "That's a question no one's ever asked me, which I find that hard to believe. But I remember Archie comics." He replied, "I like them." He says that his love of Archie comics comes from his love of the peaceful setting of Riverdale itself. Before the show, obviously, it was so interesting coming from the South Bronx. He said, "I thought, wow, people actually live on the streets that had houses and trees. So I enjoyed comic book Archie comics a lot. I was a real fanatic, quote unquote." So cool. And it goes on from there. I guess he kind of went a little more depth in that. That's cool to see. You'd have never known it, you know. But hey, how Avatar: The Last Airbender changed kids' comics. So I think I'd already talked about last week that this past February was the 15th anniversary, and so this is basically an article that kind of goes into ways that it's left its mark on cartoons that came after it. It's a good read. You should go check it out. So here are the nostalgic Star Trek cards pictures you probably really need today, because we all need a hug sometimes. Including this picture of Picard, Riker, and Troy all hugging together. I still need to watch this show because I haven't been able to catch it, sadly. But I want to, and I plan to. So one of these days it'll happen before season 2 hits, hopefully. And I believe that is. Let me make sure. Yep, that is it for the cinematic news. The clickbait section has a couple of articles you might want to check out, including the one I mentioned earlier about the meeting the students of Strange Academy. And there's also one about Adam Strange, who we talked about Strange Adventures. It's basically an article, you know, basically just running down his history to a certain extent. But there is that. Now we get to the comic book news. C2E2 20. Well, actually, I don't have a thing for this, but basically, Marvel's next big thing panel happened at C2E2, and I was supposed to pull a different article from that because the article that I have is not completed. And I totally forgot to pull the one that has what happened to her. But hey, they had their event, and some of the stuff is probably going to come out of some of the other stuff's going to come out of it. No, news is going to come out of this anyway. So there's that. Speaking of, there were images from the next big thing panel, and you can kind of see some of the preview pages that I'm clicking to, including something that I'm going to talk about in a second. That's kind of sad for me. But yeah, there's some previews of stuff that is coming down the line that Marvel's doing. Like I said, I'm sure as between this week, next week, whatever, there'll be more news to come out about it. Pardon me. Captain Marvel assembles a heavy-hitting team for Empire. And this was something else that came out of C2E2. So apparently, Captain Marvel, who has ties to the Kree, is putting a team together that looks like to be consisting of War Machine, Spider-Woman herself, and someone named Hazmat, which I know that name, and I'm drawing a blank on who that might be. And as you can see there in the picture, they're all holding what looks to be energy versions of Ronan the Accuser's hammer, with the exception of Carol, who's holding an actual version of. So, hey, we'll see what that turns into going forward. Ta-Nehisi Coates sadly is ending his lengthy run writing Black Panther. This is the thing I was talking about that I was sad about, because yes, his run was a little rough in the beginning, but I mean, he just really started writing comic books, so that is to be expected. But he's gotten a whole lot better, and his run has been pretty solid. he's also going on to write Captain America, which I believe while he's getting off of Black Panther, he's staying on Captain America, I believe, according to this article. So yes, so he's going to end this run with 22, I believe, 25. So yes, slated to be released in June with illustrations by Daniel Acuna. This issue, according to this article, will likely wrap up the ongoing storylines Coates has been telling, featuring an interstellar Wakandan empire. So, like I said, it's been a good run. I kind of hate to see it go, but you kind of expected it was going to happen sooner or later. So, I mean, I'm hoping maybe someone else will pick up Black Panther, and there'll be another creative team that's going to take over. But who knows? I'm kind of surprised that this run lasted this long, to be totally honest. So, yeah. Marvel just mashed up the MCU's biggest heroes again. So this is a spoiler from Tarot number 3, which I did not get a chance to read last week when it came out, but I did see shades of this coming along because at the end of the issue, Doctor Strange had been teleported into another multiverse where you saw some mashup characters coming out then. So I will not spoil myself. I'm not going to read any more of that because I'm going to actually go back and finish reading that issue, or actually read that issue. Mondo strikes deal for multifaceted Fantastic Four projects. One of them, in the Mondo tradition, pins. And if you're watching the video right now, you can see said pins. You see the Fantastic Four, Doctor Doom, Galactus, and the Silver Surfer. It's all good looking pins. I would probably catch a set of those. And apparently, let's see, for the first time ever and available at mondoshops.com beginning March 5th, which is actually today, as of this recording. The pop culture shop unveils products across categories of the popular comic book characters created by the legendary Stan Lee and Jack Kirby. These heroes with hang-ups and their iconic cast of supporting characters represents a beloved covenant of the Marvel Universe and are truly near and dear to Mondo's comic-loving hearts. So they're doing posters. They got pins, it says here. Let's see, vinyl slip mats. Yeah, it looks like that's it. Unless there's some more, there will probably be more than what's just in this article. But that's cool. I would probably, like I said, those pins look cool, so I'll probably get something like that. The slip mats, however they look, I might check those out. We'll see. I don't know. But yeah, you could go there today, right now, and check that out and see what they got on sale. What's up, Danger? Hot Toys' new Into the Spider-Verse figure is outstanding. So I thought we had done this last week, but I don't think there was a set of Spider-Verse toys, but that's not this. So yeah, Into the Spider-Verse version of Miles gets a Hot Toys figure, and it's cool looking. If you're watching the video, you can see everything that comes with it. So you got another, you got him in the jacket and the shorts and sneakers and all that stuff. You got a mask and another face for Miles and a couple of different hands and Spidey stuff and like that. This cool. Now probably is an arm and a leg, if I'm not mistaken. Let me see if there is a price here. I probably shouldn't even look at it because I can't get it right now, so it doesn't really matter. But let me see. There are pre-order 6-inch versions of Miles and Peter from the movie, part of this MAFX line, MAFX. Let's see, but this is an 11.5-inch tall figure. And like I said, it's got multiple hands and other things for you to do your business with. And I don't see a price. So it says here, currently expected to release sometime in late 2021. So that's cool. Like I said, it's Hot Toys, and it's probably going to be a good grip. So I wouldn't be surprised if that runs into the hundreds or something. Saw this also a few days ago. Marvel Future Revolution marks Marvel's first open world RPG on mobile. So there was a trailer that came out for this, which starred Captain America, who was narrating, if I'm not mistaken, and Spider-Man, Captain Marvel, and Doctor Strange. Notably, there were multiversion versions of all of these characters that end up showing up near, as the trailer goes on. So, which kind of gives you an idea of what's partially going to be dealing with. But yeah, like I said, it is mobile. It's a mobile game, and it's going to be an open world RPG, and by the good folks at Marvel and Netmarble. So, if you haven't had a chance to check out the trailer, you should. It looks pretty good, and I believe they said it was in-game footage. So, it looks pretty good. That's all I'll say. Watch Baby Yoda slaughter a town of stormtroopers in this Battlefront 2 mod. So some pioneering folk made a Baby Yoda mod for Star Wars Battlefront 2. It was only a matter of time. That's all I can say. I believe the creator said that the mod should be online safe, meaning that it's basically it works client side and not online, so it won't get you banned, basically. So, yeah, it replaces the model of the BB-8 with the one of the child. That means no one else online would know they've been killed by a 50-year-old infant, according to this article. So, yeah. But still got to be careful about that stuff because, ban hammers for online-focused games are hot or can be hot and heavy. So, if you plan on using this mod, be careful. Unannounced Star Wars game appears to leak via PlayStation Network. Sorry. So Star Wars Project Maverick listings reportedly added to the European PSN. What does that mean? It means that until we see a little bit more, not much. But there's something called Project Maverick that showed up on the European store, which denotes. It says here that the artwork features a lone Imperial Star Destroyer and a small fleet of X-Wing starfighters, implying that the project will likely take place around the original Star Wars trilogy era. The setting for the area battle appears to be Mustafar, the volcanic planet sanctuary of Darth Vader. So I guess we'll hopefully find out more about this, if this is actually going to be a thing later, because as we said last week, they had killed one project from last year, and then now this is coming up. So we'll see what happens with that. Aconite Books announces new Marvel stories. So Aconite Books is a book publishing imprint for Asmodee Entertainment, which does basically digital version. If I'm not mistaken, they do digital versions of board games like Catan and the like. I can't remember. I'm trying to blank because there was one I was actually playing that they did. Ticket to Ride might be one of them. I can't remember though. But regardless, that's what I know them for. And it sounds like they also do, they do board games also, obviously, but they also do video game versions of said board games. But it says, while they've been releasing books based on their board games, the publisher is also dipping its feet into the world of Marvel. Releasing in the fall of 2020, they've teased 4 new titles launching from the publisher. Titles are Domino Strays, Legends of Asgard, The Head of Mimir, Doctor Doom, The Harrowing of Doom, and Legends of Asgard, The Sword of Surtur. Asmodee releases numerous games based off Marvel properties due to various game imprints, like I kind of said. So we get more information on that, then we'll definitely tell you more when we do. Not necessarily comic book related, because I don't think there's ever been a Digimon comic, but whatever, I put this in here anyway. Fans will be soon able to purchase a cool new collectible Digivice. So I saw this and I'm like, hey, that's cool. Fans of the original Digimon series will know this because it is that version of the Digivice. It is like it is yellowish or gold covered, and I assume is going to make the sound if you press a button of a Digivolution. So it says here that the series is celebrating 20 years. Premium Bandai has taken note and decided to launch a new collectible Digivice that features lights, recorded dialogues, and even 2 songs, including Butterfly, the theme in the Japanese version of Digimon, and not the one we got over here in the States. So there you go. Let's see. The Digivice will be available for roughly $75 if we're going by Japanese prices, and that sticks. Before shipping and taxes for pre-orders going until March 23rd. If you are able to pre-order the device, it is expected. So I guess this is in Japan only. So if you have some avenues to get stuff from there, then, go forward if you are so inclined to get this. It looks cool. I wouldn't mind having one, but probably won't happen. It seemed to be also a lot for a Digivice, but, hey. Jim Lee signals DC won't replace Dan DiDio, addresses major DC reboot rumors. So, in the wake of Dan DiDio's departure from DC Comics, Jim Lee kind of got out there saying, let's see. Speaking at his personal spotlight panel during C2E2, Lee told the audience, there's continually new things going on, and I look at being sole publisher now and the team I'm working with. Much more in trenches now than ever. We've been with Warner Brothers for decades, Lee elaborated. The actual strategy for DC is to put publishing at the center of what we do. It is the engine of all the movies, TV, cartoons we do. It is so my intent going forward as the publisher to lean into the collective years of my team. And he goes on from there. So, about the rumors, he says to address some of the stuff that is out there, there's rumors, speculation. I wouldn't put any credence behind it or into it. DC has been around for 85 years. We'll be around for another 85, and I hope to be doing this panel in 85 years. I would like to know your secret if you indeed end up doing that. So, and then it goes on about being asked about the 5G initiative, which Dirt alluded to earlier, and so that kind of stuff. But we'll probably get more into that as time goes by. DC's Wildcats reboot canceled, according to Warren Ellis. So Warren Ellis and Ramon Villalobos' long-simmering Wildcat series has been canceled, according to the writer. In a blog post outlining his announced comic projects, Ellis said Villalobos didn't want to draw it after all, and attempts to find a replacement were unsuccessful. And apparently, weird. Villalobos responded to Ellis's announcement with his perspective. Let me say that at the time I was told this project was not canceled, Villalobos tweeted. I was late. I acknowledge that here. I was depressed and trying to put everything into it to make it as good as I can. Trust me, I paid a price for that. To say I didn't want to draw it is definitely not what I relayed to my editors, Warren, or anyone else, the artist continued. What I got to do on it was some of my proudest work I've ever done. It took me far too long. I'm unsure of the status of, though this gives me some clarity, I suppose. So, yeah, you kind of hate that, and, I guess miscommunication between the creative team and whatnot, that's not good either. So hopefully there's not more to this story than a what seems to be a misunderstanding, but doesn't sound like it was a misunderstanding, which if you take one part of it. DC pulls out of Emerald City Comic Con, all March cons. Coronavirus is going around. That's pretty much the reason why. So, yeah. Wash your hands, folks. Don't touch your face, etc., etc. This shit is kind of serious, so we need to give it the seriousness it is. Don't get crazy, but give it the seriousness that it needs. Let's see. We talked about this earlier. Designer's origin, who is revealed, but who is he? So we don't really necessarily have to go back on that again. So David F. Walker has we don't necessarily do Kickstarter stuff a whole lot, but, a I just want to at least touch up on it. It's already made it, so it kind of doesn't really matter. But The Hated is a new book from David F. Walker, drawn by Sean Damian Hill, colored by M.X. Strobel, lettered by Becca Carey, and published by Solid Comics. It is equal parts spaghetti western and blaxploitation thriller. The Hated, that's what The Hated is. It says in 1872, and the war between the North and South is over. Neither side won. After years of bloody conflict, both sides entered into a truce, resulting into the formation of two nations: the Union States of America, where blacks are free, and the Confederate States of America, where blacks are still enslaved. Araminta Free is a former slave turned bounty hunter. She specializes in crossing the border into the Confederacy and liberating slaves. She also tracks down Confederate war criminals, which has made her a woman with a price on her head in the southern states. So yeah, this sounded kind of interesting to me. So I don't know if I get some extra before this thing ends, I may put some back into it, because I'd be interested to seeing this. No word on, or at least I'm not seeing here. Looks like the first issue's already done. And yeah, no word is going to get a release anywhere, outside of this. But so it also kind of sounded like, which actually, if you go to the clickbait section, there is an article with the writer of Harriet Tubman Bounty Hunter, if I'm not mistaken. I believe that's what it is called. Harriet Tubman Demon Slayer, that you should definitely go check out, because that was also a project that has been kind of talked about a while back. That seems kind of interesting personally, but you can check that out. Mike Deodato Jr. finds next creator-owned adventure with a soccer mom seeking vengeance in Bad Mother. So what happens when a soccer mom is pushed to the brink by her daughter's kidnapping? According to writer Krista Faust and artist Mike Deodato Jr., creators of the new artists, writers, and artisans title Bad Mother, in which a mom whose daughter goes missing takes the case herself. The result is high-stakes thriller with a unique protagonist and an adventure that exposes the darkest sides of suburban violence. So, also something that seems kind of interesting. It is coming out July 1st. No word on how long the series is going to be, apparently. So, does it say? I guess that's what the name of it was. So you can check that out. Some sad news. Frank McLaughlin dies at age 84. Comic book artist Francis McLaughlin has died at the age of 84 of undisclosed causes in his hometown of Stratford, Connecticut, as reported by Legacy.com. He was best known for his work at Charlton Comics, where he broke into the industry and co-created the character of Judo Master, partially based on his own study of martial arts. McLaughlin went on to work at DC, Marvel, Valiant, Archie, where he worked on Adventure Comics, Justice League, Defenders, Captain America, and more. And apparently he had also taught at the at Hamden, Connecticut's Payer College of Art, as well as the Guy Gilchrist Cartoonist Academy. And he is left behind by his family, sadly. So, and last but not least, Joseph Illich joins Heavy Metal as co-managing Edward. So, cool. Joseph P. Illich has joined Heavy Metal as co-managing editor alongside former senior editor Ricardo Lorena. Announced via the Hollywood Reporter, Illich's hiring comes just after the hiring of fellow DC alum David Irwin as publisher and Matthew Medney as CEO, because they know, talent. They know how to find good talent. Hey, Illich is no slouch in this industry as an editor, so more props to that dude. So yeah, when he said I would love to pick his brain, but I wouldn't even know where to begin. Actually, I had the chance at HeroesCon one year, and I didn't take the chance because I was yellow. Anyway, so that is that. For let me see if I can put that back here. My apologies for this thing. There we go. That we come to the end of another show. Before we end, I guess I will do. I don't have the ads up, so if you bear with me for a second, I will get those. And we can roll out of this with an ad. In fact, I guess I'll do Funko. And then I'll pull this up here and boop. So hopefully it is Funko is what you're seeing. Yay! Woohoo! Funko, fun at first sight. Your home for exclusive collectibles, apparel, and brand merchandise. And now the listeners of the Comic Book Chronicles can enjoy 10% off your entire purchase when shopping at Funko. To place your first order with 10% off and to help keep our show free for you, go to our network website at cspn.us. That's cspn.us. Then click on the Keep Our Podcast free link at the top of the page. From there, scroll down to the Funko link and place your order. When you get to the checkout, put in the offer code SHOP10. That's all one word. That's shop and the number 10 for your 10% discount. Funko through cspn.us. Do it today. And folks, we are at the end of another fine show. Hopefully next week we will have our issues ironed out with the broadcasting and other things. Yeah, like I said, the move away from Lightstream kind of messed us up a little bit. But like I said, hopefully we will get that straightened out. But until then, I have been your host, Roddykat. You can find me at Roddykat on Twitter. You can also find me at News Nerds Need on Twitter. You can also find me at CBCaps on Instagram, Agent70 on Twitter and Instagram, PCN_dirt on Twitter, Pop Culture Net on Twitter, popculturenetwork.com, and there's other sites therein. Also on Byte as comic reviews with no vowels. Also, you can go check out Tim, DOGG98, the Osiris that is ish, at that on Twitter. You can also find him at The Click Nation on Twitter. That's DKLIQNATION. You can also find him at CB Chron, which is the Comic Book Chronicles Twitter account. You can also find him over on Comic Book Resources, where he's over there writing his face off. You can find this here podcast on the aforementioned Coastal of the Podcast Network, the cspn.us. Do it today. You can also find us on your podcast perusal place of choice, whether it be Google Play, Apple iTunes, Spotify, or the Coastal of the Podcast SoundCloud page. Go check us out. Like and subscribe, all that kind of good mess. We are here most every Thursday night, usually before 9:30ish, most likely at 9:30 on a good night, on the Click Nation's YouTube channel where we record live. Like I said, we had issues tonight, which kind of were quite annoying to try to put together and suss out. So, but hey, things happen. So you try not to get bent out of shape about things, but they are very annoying. So believe me, I am going to be continuously annoyed at this, but you kind of can't let that stop you sometimes. So yeah, the show must go on, and so it shall. Next week, this time, hopefully, like I said, with less issues involved. And with that, folks, this has been the Comic Book Chronicles. Peace.